out of just device. Oh, whoops. Soon. My bad. Hello. Okay. I gotta close the door. Okay. Studio mode real quick. Me. Okay, I can. Because that doesn't really matter. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to iHog. I've been able to implement some things, which is kind of cool. Change some stuff around here on the stream. Added in Twitch viewers, most recent follower, and some other stuff around here. So hopefully it makes it a little bit better. Thanks for anyone who just joined. Definitely appreciate it. Go back here. So thanks for anyone who just joined us. We're about to get started into iHog. Basically what I'm trying to implement on iHog is going to be what I'm going to call the feature is a punt page, where you get to kind of decide what goes on the page itself. So we're going to be able to say, hey, here's what's going to happen. We're going to put some faders. We're going to put some groups and some other type items onto the other half of the page if we wanted to. I did a lot of work of this already, so let's just build it real quick and we can step through what's already been done. This is the first stream of April, so welcome everyone. Yay. Hopefully this goes pretty well. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. Sorry, it's building right now. I can switch to Xcode real quick so we can see it all. And here we go. I am kind of trying something new here with my setup, as we already know, because it looks different. I'm also using I only have the external monitor going. Sorry, words are hard sometimes. I only have the external monitor going. I don't have it all going now. Purely because it's a bit easier for me to figure out. I also run my Stream Deck off my iPad, so it's a little bit easier here. We can see what the computer usage is at, which is at 69%. Not too bad. Could definitely be a lot better, though. All right, and now we can see that it's going. So with it going here, if we go to Punt Page, we can see I've put some of the settings in place already to make this happen. What I really need to do is implement more than that though, because right now I've currently only literally have the settings here. This button here should add whatever I add into the Punt Page options. Oh, well, that's fun. Which going back and navigating just killed my app for some reason. So this is gonna be a fun time. So with that being said, let's get going. Okay. Cool. So 1 second, and we're gonna get going here. Gmail, that's what I was looking for. Cool. That makes it a lot easier to see what's going on. All right, get rid of that one. Cool. So like I said, apparently navigating to the Punt Page breaks it for some reason. So let's figure out what's going on there. Terminating app due to uncaught exception. Invalid number of rows in section 0. That's weird. Okay. So how did that happen again? So let's build and let's see what happens. Punt Page. It's just real unhappy with anything. So it sounds like something's not working in the settings correctly. So settings. So I kind of set it up to where we have settings. Hey, I have 2 followers now. I mean 2 viewers, not followers. Welcome, guys. To both of that. Cool. So welcome. Let's see here. We are going to go to... So what I'm trying to figure out right now is why my app's crashing. So it's going to take a little bit of time to figure that out. I did that in Punt Page settings. Let's see. Let me know if the text is too small, if it's too large, that kind of thing. It looks pretty good on my iPad, but that doesn't mean much for you guys. Cool. So what part is failing? Sorry, I gotta figure out what's failing. Stop, Dobby. Sorry, dog was looking also. Okay, so we have the settings here. Show manager comes on and it's enabled. We want it to be enabled. But why is it failing? Let's see. I know I'm using an on appear method, so I wonder if this is not running quick enough, maybe? Let's try it again. So I kind of moved it a little bit above so that as soon as like that text appears, it should be getting the settings. But let's see. No, it still did not like that. So still it is reading as inconsistent exception. So still that same error we were getting with the issue of, let's see, equal to the number of rows contained in that section before the update. So let's see. So it's a little bit of an issue here. It's not happening here. Let's see. Let me just see if doing this, we're going to basically comment these out and see if that changes anything. Cool, that should be what I need. Editor up here. Ugh. So sometimes I actually realize that I do really like the touch bar on my MacBook Pro because there is actually a comment, a comment button that I can just hit. So selection. Nope. I don't care. The bothers. Nope. Where is it? Is it now? Shortcut to comment code in Xcode. Command Shift 7. Nope. Let's see why. It's a little older, but let's see. I wouldn't imagine. Is it really that easy? Command /. Nope, because that's text expander. Quote. Let's try it again. Yes, command /. Oh, now it's all kinds of other upset because I'm sure I did something weird here. Why'd we fail? We failed because I didn't finish. Okay. So let's undo that. And let's just collapse that from there. / build. All right, so that time the build was successful. And so we can see it here. Now if I navigate out, navigate back, it comes back. So that means something with the form is not working correctly. I don't know why, but something with it is not. So let's undo those. Put that back where it needs to be. And let's see what's going on. So it's something with the section. So let's go ahead and comment out these sections. So now we only have the faders being being what goes. They're just kind of trying to dwindle down what the issue actually could be by commenting out the sections that I know I added. Nope. And so the issue is somewhere with the form, with the fader options. So, which is fun. So let's go back. And it says invalid number of rows in section 0. If I had read that before, it would have been right. The number of rows contained in an existing section after the update 3 must be equal to that before the update 3, plus or minus the number of rows inserted or deleted. So there were 2 inserted, and plus or minus the number of rows moved into, and 0 moved in, 0 moved out. So I wonder if I can get rid of that guy. And put it after that. So I hope everyone's having a really good day so far. It's been a day here. Okay, so that worked with me moving that on up here to the other side, which is good. So what we're going to do next is start moving this down. So let's see here. Commands, we'll undo that guy. And then let's actually put this at the very end here, at the very last one. That way it happens at the end of each section. Let's see what happens. Sorry, I keep looking down to the left because that's where my iPad is. I have to look at you though, because you're watching me while this is happening. And Punt Page, it works now. So I just had my on up here in the wrong section. So if I turn those off, I go out, I come back, go back to my Punt Page, it works magically. Great, so that works. And if you want to see how it works, it's all in a... So how it's all set up is in a dictionary. So if we come up here, we can see we actually have this punt props dictionary. What I need to do is actually get this dictionary when it updates to talk to core data, because this punt page is going to be unique per show file. So each show can have a different punt page, because you might not have the same, you might not have a group 1 in show 1 in show A, but you might have it in show 12 or show B. So by being able to have this needs to be unique per show file. The way that the rest of the code is set up is that it has to have a show file. It can't have, if it doesn't have a show file, it'll cause some errors. So let's go here and see. So I had this as so in the show manager, so I was in the middle of previously making a different show file, can we just, okay. So I was in previously working on a punt page manager. That way it can just work on the one punt page. But I think it actually needs to be an extension of show manager based on how these objects are. Sorry, I also have to be better about not touching my face because of this wonderful thing that's happening out in the world today. Cool. Let me also... brightness. Okay, that also helps. Cool. So let's see what's going on here. Okay, so we have to add a show here, but how do we add so we add an object here. Because it's all using the same context, but the context is given. Then where's update show? No, it's update object name. Update show. Here it is. So an update show, how this works. I also have two viewers now. Hey guys, welcome. We're still working on, so I kind of switched gears here from working on notification to working on iHog. I am trying to implement a punt page feature, kind of like a do-it-yourself, design what it looks like type feature. So whatever happens on the settings page, was what you see in the little bottom right corner on the screen on the iPad, can be reflected into this punt page view. So where it says hello world now on the iPad, that's going to look like whatever the settings looks like inside here. So now I'm just trying to figure out how to get how the logic works behind it necessarily. I know I need the punt page stored in core data, which I have an entity for already. So here's my punt entity, which is my punt page. It's right now just configuring if it has encoders, has faders, main controls, objects. So whether or not these things exist inside the page itself. It's going to be a lot of if statements, I have a feeling, and a lot of other type of work, but I have to figure out how to first create the punt page. So, and also I believe this is going to be unlocked via an in-app purchase. So as soon as you make any type of purchase in here where it says support developer, it's going to unlock this feature. So yes, as someone who purchased the 99 cents would still get it. But then, I mean, it's just a fun feature for me to add and for me to work on. So let's see. I was here. Okay, so an update show, it basically says what the show ID is and to update the actual show itself. That's all it does. Okay. So really, where's my add object? I need to make a punt page. But the punt page should already exist. Okay, so really that needs to happen in-app purchase. Okay, so inside, So I'm gonna, so I'm going to make in my text edit file here, there's a new doc. So inside this text file, I'm just gonna put, the first thing I wanna do is make this huge so we can see. Add a function to add. We're going to first add a function to add the punt page. Then we are going to add the punt page into in-app purchase. And then we're going to update punt page in punt page settings. So those are basically the three things that we're actually going to do today. Add a function to add the punt page, add the punt page into in-app purchases, and update the punt page in punt page settings. So let's put that here. Easy to get to with the command tab, so that's good. Cool. So like I said, we need to make a thing that lets me make it first. Inside show manager and this one. So we're going to add a function that is going to take in a context and it's managed object context, and it's upset because when it didn't autocomplete, Xcode did not autocomplete here because I haven't imported my core data. And as of right now, we're not going to import combine. I don't think it's necessary. And I also need to make a class, which doesn't help. Class punt page manager. Now we can add in that function. And it's going to say add And because it only needs to be called once, we don't actually need to pass it a whole new show entity. We can actually just make that entity right here, right now, with some default values. So let's go into... I can split this guy so I can still see what's happening here. And then in here, we can go into the core data model file, and now we have to do this. I don't think we actually end up needing the config. it actually might be easier to have the config. We'll just keep it. We'll assign it a thing of 0 for now. Okay, so what we need to do first is make the punt page entity. So let new punt. Wow, I can't type. New punt equals punt page. Sorry, punt entity. Cool. And it was never done. It hasn't been changed yet, which is fine. We're going to go to just code here. Cool. So like I said, it's fine. No big deal. We're just going to keep going. Cool. So new punt entity. So we're going to say new punt dot config. Like I said, we're just going to make it equal 0. New punt dot has encoders equals false. New punt dot has faders equals. We'll actually default these to true. That way we can actually already build them coming in. See, I keep going back and forth on whether or not, so this is just like, because I haven't done something like this before, it's me also thinking as I'm typing, like, is this actually something that I need to do this way? Like, do I have too many options in here? Because I have a has encoders, has faders, has main controls, has objects, all these type of things that really, like, I should be able to, like, if I just do a config option where 0 has it laid out this way, 1 has it laid out this way, 2 has it laid out this way, 3 has it laid out that way. It just makes it so much easier, I think, on me, and I don't have to have, I can then just have different Swift UI views that say, hey, if config 0, do this. If config 2, do this, like kind of thing. So I don't really need all these options in here. Well, that's fun. I like when I plan out this. False. So all that work that I did to make it all slide around doesn't really matter. We're still going to add these because I'm still not sure that's what I want to do. So let's go ahead and keep adding these though. And we'll just keep these false. ID new punt.id equals UUID. Which I don't even think that new punt.id is actually needed anymore now that, excuse me, I don't think new punt ID is necessarily needed anymore either, now that I might just go that a single config option should dictate other options. Now that I'm going to go that route, which I really think it should. I think that would just make it easier. So on this screen here, instead of having all these options, like I could just say, like have buttons, like the mode or the model can still stay, like that's totally fine. But then it can just say config 1, 2, 3, 4. I kind of just like pick it and it's stylized then at that point. Like it's the user is kind of up to whatever I decided was useful, but maybe that'll get people to actually like request something like fun for it to do. And it should probably also make it a bit easier to implement also. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and actually switch this real quick to me. All right, so now that you're just looking at me, which is always fun, hey guys, I don't think anyone's actually viewing. I don't know. It says I have one viewer. So hey to that one viewer if you are. Cool. Great. I just wanted to make sure this was kind of working as intended right now. Sorry, I just needed a second to breathe because I think I'm just changing everything on here, which is always fun. Sorry about that. Also trying different things still. Cool. Why is chat here not? Just go zero. Now it's just gone. We're just gonna go ahead and get rid of that chat then. Okay. So I really think that config option, like I said, is probably the way to go, or the way that I want to go at this point, which means all of this work, I just hate throwing away all this work that I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it. So yay. So let's just go do it. All right, I still have them in here. I don't want to get rid of these options yet, because if I change my mind again, which I'm bound to at some point, like they're in there. Let's keep just doing this real quick. Do try context dot save catch print error. Cool, great. So now in theory that punt page should be made whenever I call it. So let's go. Let's see, what's more, I guess it doesn't really matter what's more fun. Y'all are still watching me, y'all aren't watching my code. All right, so let's figure out what I should do next. And I can still go by, in this print, we're gonna say, punt page was made. All right, so we have the punt page was made here, great. So let's go actually get this implemented. Let's still do the steps that I said inside text edit. So this one is done. So that one's done. The next one is going to be add a punt page into in-app purchase. So where that needs to go is we're going to go into here and go find change show settings main. Let's figure out how we get there. I know it's at the bottom. Support page. Nope. In-app perch. Wow. Maybe under about? Aha. Oh, because it's sectioned how the app is sectioned. That I act like I did not write this app. But I promise I did. Because that's why it's badly written. But this is why I'm doing this, for practice and, you know, all this fun stuff. Cool. So in here, product, perch row is up here. Aha. Okay. Button, buy product. So really I can close that guy. I don't need that. Delete it. I need the show, I need the context added in here. So let's go back to settings main. So, okay, so I don't need to carry anything over into it. So then if we go to group palette settings, I can honestly just call it, which is really nice. Just call context in here. We're going to say great here. And then I think we can then add it in here. Let's build it and make sure that it's working as I think it should. Great, it did. It built successfully. So now we're gonna go into, okay, so basically what we need to do is hog OC products that's stored up by product. So there's a couple different things we have to do here first. One being when we do the check if it's been purchased or not. And then, so I think that's still going to be actually up here. That's going to be in the original file. And then we need to, in that original file, if it hasn't been purchased, then we need to implement it. If it has been purchased, so if purchased, unlock. If not purchased, so if purchased, it should read the user default and check if user default equals nil, then we need to turn on. If not purchased, turn on user default. There's no reason to check if it's nil because it shouldn't be anyway. It should just be done. Cool, yeah, that makes sense. Great. So let's see. We're gonna go into here now. Hog OSC products is where it happens. Yeah, I am. Hey, Wally boy. Welcome. Yeah, I do most of my stuff actually in Swift UI. This whole app that I have going, I can show real quick. This whole app has actually been all in Swift UI, so it is something that's gonna end up crashing my app for some reason. Because I built with breakpoint and I didn't mean to. But yeah, so the app itself is all built in Swift UI. I've kind of it made sense to switch over whenever I was building a brand new app from scratch into Swift UI, especially with a bunch of the functions, with a bunch of the parts of the UI switching. So which is why I kind of focused into Swift UI itself. Not switching, but repeating with all the buttons, all the objects here, that kind of thing. So on this part, what we're going to do is actually start implementing one of these features. I'll switch to where you can actually see me talk. So I've been working, let's see, how long have I been working on it? I basically started this project when Swift UI was announced, whenever it was in the beta process. So it was fun dealing with the beta changes. I kind of put on a pause for about a month or two while those beta changes stopped. So I've probably been working on it since last October. Officially released it in December and have been iterating on it since then. Yeah, I definitely went through a little bit of hell with it just because it was not the most structured thing with all those beta changes. I did a smaller app in Swift UI completely. I rewrote like one of my free app that I have on the store. It's another lighting related app, which is what this is. And that was a little bit easier to actually roll with the punches because it was just a bunch of buttons. Nothing really too hard in that one. This one had a bunch more of switches on. This one is taking me a lot longer because there was a lot more formatting and stuff that had to happen. Yeah, cool. And with that being said, I'm gonna keep rolling with the punches here. Keep it kind of on code and device so that we can see what's going on. Great. I mean, yeah, if you're talking about Swift UI, I've also been really enjoying Swift UI. It's been a fun ride. I hope that not too many more changes come next at WWDC in June, but I could definitely see it happening, especially with how much people say change from Swift 1 to Swift 2. Cool. So we're going to get this Hog OSC products going here. So we have OSC products. Cool. And then we'll also, so we can say buy product, store.buy product. So we're going to have to pass it into a couple times here. Yeah, I definitely want error handling to be better. So that would be something that would be a really nice change here. So we're going to say store.buy product. So really, we can just go to IAP helper here to where the store is declared. So it's saying store, in-app purchase helper. Yes, I've already launched it. You could actually go find it on the App Store right now. It's called iHog. And it's an OSC remote app for Hog consoles. So this is just more fun on top. This is just like another feature that I'm looking to add into here. So, yep, in store, I did that with iHelper. Something that's really cool in Xcode we can do is just command click and then jump to the definition. So it gets a little bit easier here. And then let's see. So what we want to do is actually add in a variable. Is what we're going to do first actually is format it. I went from 4 spaces to 2 spaces, so all my formatting is really off depending if I haven't touched the code in a while. With that being said, I want to commit it or else I won't know what exactly I'm changing if I want to go back with Git. Cool. The software, the code itself is not open sourced. I am still debating on that, whether or not I want to do it open source. But I have a public repo that has all the issues and features and stuff on it. I don't want to stage the whole thing. I literally just want to stage this one file. And that is, yeah, cool. So we're going to say formatting. Commit one file. Sure, we'll push that. Cool. All right. Yay. So now we can actually see what I'm changing. So where I declared this class open here, we're going to say var is context and ns managed. I don't do iOS for work. This has all been self-taught, which has been fun also. I work as a product support specialist for a lighting manufacturer company. So this has all been self-taught. I got a theater degree and then came this way. Yeah. I also think that's kind of awesome. Cool. Yep, because then in the knit, we're going to do that's not, actually, I don't want that put here. I lied. We want to look for byproduct. Here it is, and we'll get the context here. So I found out in the last time I was doing this fun stuff with context and core data in my other app that if I try to initialize the context inside the app's like initializer, then unfortunately it doesn't work completely well. It makes a brand new file. It makes a entity by itself. So it's just easier to call a context whenever I want to, like this inside the function that I need it in. I had worked with iOS briefly before. I had probably started like a year before Swift UI came out, and then just got that basic app that I was talking about earlier that I did with Swift UI done. That one is completely open source and it looks awful, and you can see all the changes that happened on it. And then this was kind of my big project of me jumping into and starting to learn more of the ins and outs of like using this is my first project that I use Cocoa Pods on. So this is using a protocol called Open Source Control, OSC, Open Sound Control. That's what it's called. Confusing the two things together. So this actually brought in Cocoa Pods, which was my first time. So this more in-app purchase in depth. So I'm trying to get this feature to be triggered based on an in-app purchase versus just being unlocked in the app itself. But yeah, no, I mean, I've very slightly worked on iOS before and then basically jumped straight into Swift UI. I was trying to, right before Swift UI was announced was whenever I was trying to actually learn how to do programmatic like UI layout, because before the other app, do I have it here? I might not have it here. I don't think I do. That's fine. I don't need it here. But my other app was all app. Was it AppKit? UIKit. Sorry, was all UIKit based and all storyboard driven, and that was fun in its own way. But then once Swift UI was announced, right before Swift UI was announced, I was starting to learn programmatic control because I wanted to build this app with all of the wonderful repeating things, and I couldn't figure out how to do it in UIKit. I just kept I just kept trying and it just did not click. So then when Swift UI was announced, I was like, yes, this clicks. Before iOS development, I was more into the web side of things like Vue and React and JavaScript. So I think that's why Swift UI more so clicked into how to get this stuff kind of done. Yeah. All right, so in here we have our contacts, buying. So then we say in the payment, and then add payment. So cool. So we have the context here, but if it's not successful, so what we're trying to do now is say, if it failed, then we only want it to be unlocked if it actually completes, and not if it doesn't. Which I could do. So purchase products request. So we're going to do products request here and did receive response. Nope. So that's where we're going to still go and check this at some point, because we need to say on launch, and if someone deletes the app, like, can it be restored, stuff like that. It'd be really nice if they didn't have to go and restore it themselves, if they can just do it, if it just does it by itself. I've always appreciated that in apps where I don't have to go hit the restore button. Buy products. So then we say an SK payment product. Let's see, do I have that? Yeah. So it was basically the exact same thing. Oh, no problem at all for the distraction. I don't mind talking about like where I've come from, all that kind of stuff. So it's no big deal. It's kind of helping me go back and forth from like stopping and pausing, then keep going. But cool. Awesome. And if you ever have any questions, you can put it in the chat and I'll obviously answer and stuff like that. Yeah. Just trying to figure out, again, because I'm still kind of new, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to do this. I know something triggered. I don't know what. So thanks for whatever you just did. Oh, thanks for the follow. Yeah, there we go. That's what just happened. Sorry, since I'm on the one monitor, I don't have like OBS going on the side. I just kind of have it going in the background, so I can't really see exactly what gets triggered when. But thanks for the follow. Okay, so we wanted to say if the... Where'd it go? See, and we see here for where I tried to do like completing and stuff. I need to get this in here somehow. So let's just search through what I have in here. And a lot of this, I'll be honest, came from like a tutorial by Ryan Wenderlich, I believe. He had a great intro, and so like I kind of did a lot of that here to implement while I learned what was going on. So incomplete. Really. Yeah, I'm just gonna. I don't really need this. I'm gonna delete it. Yeah. And then we're going to say here default finish transaction. Purchase Let me undo that. User defaults at standard set true for key identifier. So really, we're gonna do for key, so that is, if it happens, and this is why I need to go back through those tutorials and figure out exactly what's going on again. But yeah, no, their courses are great. I also got their like intro to Combine. I got all their like new books like for Combine and Swift UI and stuff like that. Which has been great reading during this wonderful time of I'm working of like how work has been. Okay, so I don't care about restoring. Okay, so we're just going to put a pin in this for right now because that's going to need a lot more research as to how to get that to be done. But then what we're going to do next is update Punt Page and Punt Page settings. So really, I can just say here if it's complete. We can still set this to true right now, actually. Cool. I'm just gonna total tipped for tip jar at some point in future. So I had this wonderful idea, like kind of like pCalc and other apps do, where once you give any type of money, because this was kind of supposed to be a tip jar more than it was to unlock features. Once you give money, then it was supposed to calculate into that total. But for some reason, I just kind of dropped that. Oh, I wasn't getting the total number of times it had been purchased. So like if you deleted the app and you restored it, like you wouldn't be able to see exactly the total at that point. So that's why I've kind of put it on hold and you don't really see any of that kind of stuff. But now we're going to do toggle Punt Page on. we really don't even have to do that there. Okay, so I'm going to toggle this punt page on real quick. So user defaults. I've done that in punt page settings towards the bottom. Cool. So we can say user defaults dot set is enabled to for key. Oh, I've also heard of Objective-C.io. I just haven't been in there yet, and it's one of those like places that I want to go and explore a bit more in there. And punt page enabled. Oh, it doesn't need to set true. So basically I have this user defaults value that allows that whenever we are complete, then we're going to set this user defaults standard dot set. So basically we're setting this user defaults key to be enabled. And then it can be seen in where to go? Content view. Honestly, right. So as soon as everything gets set, then we actually get the defaults on whether or not that's been enabled. So by default is enabled is set to false. That way, if it's not enabled, then we just don't do anything. We automatically keep that as false. But if it is enabled, then it's going to make that like command key appear, that command key options appear right down there. So that's done there. Cool. And then, great. So, purchasing, complete PN products, requested. We can also implement that option to be, so like that auto restore option on demand. We can say, is product purchased? We can basically do the exact same thing if it's true or not. Contains, so return dot contains which I have that going. Where does it print out again? Loaded, found, failed to load, complete, previously purchased. So we can put that here as well. Where'd it go? Sorry, I'm trying to find where I put that. Set because that's not supposed to be there. Cool. So if it's been purchased before, then we can set that to true also. So it's just automatically set to true anytime it's purchased. Great. Because again, it's not going to matter which product ID is purchased. Just if any of them are purchased, you get this unlocked. And that'll be kind of cool because this is checked every time the app is actually launched. It gets checked. So if someone has already done an in-app purchase for a tip, then this automatically gets unlocked. If not, then they just got to go do it. And I'm sure people will just choose the 99-cent option by default, but that's okay. It's whatever they want to give, whatever they think this is worth. Great. So in-app purchasing is done. All right. So with that being done, we've done the defaults. We just didn't say add a punt page when that happens, but that's okay. I could just make the punt page automatically whenever I make a new show file, since it could be there. So why don't I just do that then? And instead of doing its own Punt Page manager, let's just do we'll write an extension for the show manager in here. Because technically this is only going to deal with anything that has the Punt Page on it. So having this be an extension of the show manager also makes sense, which handles basically any objects inside the show. Anything that goes inside what I'm calling the show on the device goes in here. So inside show manager, inside add show, we're just going to make the Punt Page now. We'll call add Punt Page with that context. Great. So the Punt Page gets added. Is the show selected? Great. And then because I overload it, put it in here too. So I have something for if a note's given when the show is added or not. So great. So anytime a new show is added, then you get a Punt Page. This doesn't necessarily change the fact as if you did not have a Punt Page before, but that's okay. We'll just tackle that when I get there. Which I need to put in the GitHub before I forget. Open a blank issue. If purchase on an existing show, then add Punt Page. Cool, so that's been added. Awesome. So this was started on my personal GitHub. This project was, I kind of started making a new one today for just apps by MW. That's gonna have all blog posts, stuff like that I currently do because I do a lot of blogs and stuff, specifically focusing in Swift UI. So that's what's currently signed into my Safari. Usually in the Brave browser that I use is what happens with the usually in the Brave browser is where I do all the other stuff. I don't like running that browser when I am streaming though, because it takes a lot from it, which is fine. It takes a lot of resources from my computer, which is pretty toasty right now, but that's okay. All right, so we're adding a Punt Page and then we're adding a show file at the same time. So that in theory should, if I make a new show, well, yeah. So just making sure when I make a new show file, adding show, it did not, oh, I didn't build it. I gotta build it in order to get it. My blog can be found at blog.appsbymw.com. At some point that will be changing to just appsbymw.com, but as of right now, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Yep. I don't need that. Here I decided. So blog.appsbymw.com is where you can find it. But I'll also type that in the chat. All right, and so if I launch a new show, so what we'll see here is when I launch a new show, at the bottom, we should get an add show print and a error, apparently. Terminating the app. Reason, unrecognized selectors into instance. Well, it was unrecognized. Terminating due to NS unrecognized. Why? Okay, yeah, no problem. Okay, but, so this was... Punt Page Manager. Yeah, so let me just do this real quick. Let me see if I can, it might also be this issue here. So what I do for the differences between iPhone and iPad, because this app is available on both like iPhone and iPad. One, I have to kind of decide whether, specifically for this feature that I'm building right now, I need to decide whether or not it is iPad only or phone only, or both, or it could work universally. I decided that it was iPad only. It really needs a big screen for this to be successful. I terminated again. But what I'm actually doing for a lot of this, and probably with this error is probably where I'm going to call it, so this is actually a good question. So what I'm doing with a lot of this is actually at the beginning of like the app, whenever it launches, I actually get what device you're on. And then I kind of set the device at this point in time. So if it's a small, medium, or a large screen. So what would constitute as small is I kind of have everything in this extension for figuring it out. Not gonna lie, a lot of this came from Stack Overflow. On like actually returning the sizes. Someone had the information that I was able to take. But yeah, so we can see what's small versus medium versus large. So if it's a medium phone kit size, then it can get a little bit bigger on the buttons. If it's a smaller phone size, then they can be a bit smaller, like for 5Ss, iPod Touches, that kind of thing. But once you get to like 11 Pros, 11 Pro Maxes, and those can be a little bit bigger. And same thing for the iPads. The smaller size screens, so iPad minis and below, because those screen sizes are so small, those buttons have to be different sizes. Same with and then your 9.7 inch should in theory be able to hold exactly what your 12.9 inch does, which has been fun. So like if let's see if my computer will let me do it. So I can run this 9.7 inch simulator. So it's just going to take a little bit. I can run this 9.7 inch simulator and it should all work okay. Some of the layout I've noticed with Swift UI is really wonky on the simulator versus the actual, it's a little wonky with the simulator versus the actual like device itself. I have a 9.7 Pro that we have, so this is a little bit different. Am I getting the geometry reader to set the device type? I'm not getting the geometry reader to set the device type. I'm actually doing a, in here, it figures out what the identifier actually is of the device, and then it returns small, medium, large, and then inside the different things. So if I go views, that's what they're called. They're views. They're not called things. Inside the different views, I go to, oh my goodness, where is it? This was the sign of I have too many views. So like I have a small view, so this would be used for like an iPhone, and then I have a large view, which would be used for like an iPad. And then I have different views that are called based on ifs or elses, based on some if statements. And then like you have the main the all view that's originally called that decides which one actually gets to be displayed. So if it's large, then we're going to do that programmer large, which is like a full size, buttons and coders, everything's showing. But on the smalls, a lot of things are hidden. Simulator still waiting to start, as it does. Yeah, so it's that was also a lot of work to refactor it and get it to go, because originally I had released this as just an iPad option, but it wasn't getting a lot of traction of being only an iPad app. So then about the next release, I think it was the next release or maybe a release after that. So within the first like 3 releases for sure, I worked on getting it to be an iPhone and an iPad version at the same time. Oh, most definitely. I don't know if I would be doing any of this without Stack Overflow, to be honest. It came in handy so it gave me the idea to look for the switches. I just Googled, like, how can I do that first? How do I get this switch to happen? And then it was able to actually find out how it happened with Stack Overflow. So let's see here. And I'm gonna... Nope, you don't want to do that anymore. That's fine. I don't need that to happen. Again, it kills my computer CPU usage is at like 95% right now. I'm currently running on a MacBook Pro 13-inch from 2016, and I believe it was like the step up from the base model. So it's a little struggle busting right now, but that's okay. It gets the job done when I'm not streaming. But yeah, any other questions about it? I mean, I could also try to run through a little bit. I guess I could just do the device itself instead of the chat and show a bit of how. So this is like the programmer all where you have all of these buttons, but once you get to like an iPhone, it does a little bit, it squishes it all together to where you just have like the numeric keypad and stuff like that. That's also smart. So if it's greater than an X, so that was also something I was trying to look at to do, was trying to get that to do a little bit of a greater than type width, which probably would have saved a bit of time and might be something I actually go back to for like my grid of buttons that I have here. Because basically how the grid of buttons works right now is you just get to decide how many buttons go across. So I can say like, great, there's 5 across. That's it. Or I can go down into my settings and change it to 2 across if I wanted to. And it doesn't take up that much space, but that would be a lot more dynamic. That is something I'm gonna put into a note to write for later, to look into more. Oh yeah, I'm also under the believer that there really is no, there might be a right way to do it, like a Swifty type way or something like that, but there is no true and honest right way. If it gets the job done and it's performant enough for what you want at the current time, then it's okay. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the right way is just whatever way works at the time to get what's wanted. Same thing. I mean, same. I also pick up a bunch of small things from reading blogs. Because it's Swift by Sundell is awesome. Hacking with Swift. And then there's a new one, Swift UI with Swift with Mahid, I believe it's called. Yeah, Swift with Mahid. This one's awesome for all about Swift UI. I don't know if you've seen it yet. I'm gonna go ahead and close the simulator because this is kind of the end of it now. But this one is great, and it's just it got me to a lot of the shapes and stuff like that. And yeah, with that being said, I'm kind of done for the time. It's been about an hour figuring out and scrapping a bunch of stuff that I had already worked on, so that was fun. Um, but yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks for chatting with me and keeping me a little bit talkative and letting me talk it out. Um, if you want to get a little bit more in depth, I have all the I mean, you already know about the blogs and stuff. I already linked that in the chat. Was the blogs.appsbymw.com. That works. Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of stuff is also there. Yeah, it was nice chatting with you virtually also. So great. Have a good night. And next week we'll either continue this or work on the other app notification that I also am writing in Swift UI with more note-based notification app. Ugh, yay. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for watching and see you next week. Cool. I don't know why I thought the end would be good. I don't know. We're just gonna exit.